Thank you, Yoder. Dear friends, colleagues, and guests of Felician College, I would like to thank the athletics department, and in particular J.R. Dinalo and Mark Mentone, for giving me the opportunity to share with you a few words about my good friend Russ Wiebe. However, before I tell you about Russ, I want to publicly congratulate Bob. I would like to add to these remarks that without Sister Teresa, there would be no athletics program at Felician today. Bob's outstanding leadership and work ethics are still quite present to this day, and some of our coaches continue to rely on his advice and expertise in athletics matters. Thank you, Bob, and congratulations. I would like to begin my talk on Russ by first welcoming Lynn Wiebe and her daughter Ava. We can imagine how proud you are tonight of all the accomplishments that Russ is being honored for. For those who knew Russ, my words may remind you of the outstanding person he was. And for those of you who were not blessed to have known him, they will give you a better understanding of why he has been chosen, along with Bob, to be the first inductees into the Athletics Hall of Fame. It was back in September of 1995 that I first met Russ. I had just been hired as a faculty member at the college. Although we were in different departments, we shared a common interest in sports. We enjoyed getting together weekly at the Immaculate Conception High School Gymnasium for pickup basketball games, which Bob organized for students, faculty, and staff. This was in many ways the beginning of the athletics program at Felician. I always looked forward to playing on Russ's team because he was never a ball hog, as we like to say, and was always thoughtful to give his teammates a chance to shoot the basket. Russell was an extremely intelligent, sincere, honest, understanding, welcoming, compassionate, and caring individual. His knowledge went beyond his expertise in English literature. I could talk to Russ about anything professional or otherwise and always learn something new. He frequently laid the foundation for others and never took the credit he deserved. In fact, it was due to his mentoring that I became the faculty athletics representative to the NCAA after Russ stepped down to become assistant coach of our men's basketball team. Although I had known Russ only 3 years, I felt a camaraderie with him that seemed beyond these years. My wife and I were honored to have him as a groomsman at our wedding party, But it was not just about how he related to his friends and colleagues that made him special. I would be remiss if I also didn't recognize his individual personal crusade in making sure our students, athletes and non-athletes alike, completed their necessary coursework at the college, and I can attest to the fact that many of our graduates would not have obtained their degree had it not been because of Russell's personal efforts. Even before the motto, "Students First," was coined, Russ was leading the way through example. In conclusion, the impact he made on all of us who knew him, as well as those who came after him, is an impressive legacy worthy not only of admiration but emulation. I would now like to introduce a colleague of mine from the English department, Dr. Sherida Yoder, who will also share with us some of her wonderful memories of Russ. Thank you.
I want to speak about Russell as a colleague, as a member of the English department, as well as a friend. No one was like Russell Wiebe. Russ was a man who was outspoken, outrageous almost, but from a place of integrity. His friend Tony Demarest said, whatever Russ said was always surprising and always the truth. Russ was one who would cast the dissenting vote. It is not a coincidence that he established the Honor Council because he valued honesty. He also was generous, always volunteering to represent the department at open houses, registrations, and homecomings, where on windy fall days like tomorrow, he let students dunk him and throw shaving cream pies in his face. He had high expectations of his basketball players and of his class. Students said he would sometimes yell and pound the blackboard to emphasize a point, and teachers from across the hall would rush over to see what was going on. What was going on was the class of a passionate teacher. He wouldn't let his students call him Dr. Wiebe, though he earned that title. They called him Professor Wiebe because he valued that title more. In a poem he wrote, "I am here as a teacher, and teachers are always here and always gone. The course is over, but the impact of the teacher lasts." He added that a teacher is not just a teacher, but my teacher. At senior research presentations, Russ always posed hard but fair questions, and students would dread a Wiebe question, but they never forgot the pride that they had when they could answer them. Russ wrote, "I love basketball and poems and my daughter Ava." He also loved his wife Lynn and words. He wrote about what remains after, and I'm quoting him, "We have lost the sound of one's voice. What remains are memories and words." Russ was very cool, and he knew it. Girls had crushes on him, and he knew it. He valued the aesthetics of coolness, as he would put it, but he was hot in what he cared about. I reread some of Russ's poems and found him asking the profound questions of what lasts in life. He observed, and I'm quoting him, "Language is not life. It gives life orders. Life does not speak. It listens and waits." Russ was a brilliant and complex poet who valued language while feeling its limitations. As I speak about him now, I know what I can say about him and what words can't say. We don't always think of our athletes or coaches or even teachers as poets, perceiving the world as a place of beauty and tragedy and sitting down to craft their experience in careful words. But Russ did. And he wrote about what he said was the love, beauty, and sublimity in everyday life. Beneath his ubiquitous black t-shirt, his tattoo, and ironic pose was a poet's perceptive heart. His poetry wove together his world of students, coaching, teaching, and loving, his past and present, his grandfather's farm, his road trips and country music and truck, and his daughter's Barbies, and her fondness for Hannah Montana, Miley, how you've changed. He wrote, "I try to find a truth to offer, but there are only words." And yet, he writes, words provide the only consolation. His midpoint reflections were the provocative center of every Felician College poetry reading. His prose poems were about students and family and love, about poetry and time and memory, and reflected his deep appreciation of life. In a poem he wrote, "What does it mean to get what you deserve?" I think he would be very pleased to deserve this award. I think few people have left such a permanent mark on those who knew him as Russ did. In the English department, we speak of him often, even wondering what would Russell say about this or that. Usually when we invoke Russ, it is because we need his outrage and his intelligence. To us, he has become a model of what is honest, difficult, real, and worthy. In the years that we knew him, we were changed. It may be presumptuous to say that after his death, we all became more like him, but it is true. We are haunted by him in the best way. This award tonight is testimony to his lasting influence and will give others the chance to know him too. Russ left us too soon. In a poem he wrote about, quote, "the speechless incredulity of a stopped heart." But he also wrote how one continues to act even in stillness, how both words and the voice continue to live though life ends. Tonight we try to reflect in our own lives some of Russell's best qualities: outspokenness, honesty, dedication to others, passion, and the brilliance of his words. Russ was a presence in every class, faculty meeting, basketball game, and poetry reading, and we will never forget him.
Thank you, Sherida. I would like to invite Lynn and Ava Wiebe to come up, and Dr. Prisco to please present the award to Russ Wiebe.
wish you college full as well. Congratulations.
Hello everyone. I have to say I'm so thrilled to be here for this award, and also because 4 years ago when Russell passed, it happened so suddenly that our family really couldn't speak. You know, it was just such a shock. So here we are 4 years later, and you know, my daughter is now 12, she was 7, and now we can speak. And I'd like to talk a little bit, give you a few laughs, but also talk to you a little bit about his legacy as well. When I first moved to the campus, I got to live on the campus when I got married, and we were full of athletes, baseball players and basketball players in Russell, and then I became pregnant, and it was just tons of fun. And I remember fun things like in the middle of the night, a knock on the door, and it was a basketball player. Knock, 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 about 1 in the morning, and he said, Coach, can I borrow a can opener? I need a can for my soup. I need an opener. So Russ, of course, got up, gave it to him, fine. Back to sleep. You know what it's like to be pregnant? About an hour later, knock, knock, knock. Do you have any soup? Yeah. So this was our life. Russell took care of these boys because, you know, a lot of them, it was the first time away from their homes, and a lot of them were from even different countries as well. So this went on, and then there was the mornings where Russ would wake up before me. We were both working, and I said, what are you doing? Where are you going? He was knocking on dorm rooms, pulling them out of the beds in the bedrooms, getting them on the bus, you know, to get over to the college. And he said, I have to get them, you know, they've got to get to the first class. I'd say, you know, I don't think this is so great. You're enabling them. They have to get jobs. They must, you know, get in the world. They're 20 years old. They're 21 years old. And he said, you know, a lot of times this is just the push. This little push will make the difference. I said, okay. So onward we go. And then there were the phone calls to the professors. Let him rewrite the paper. He can do it. Give him one more chance, you know. He didn't mean to, you know, copy it from someone else. I said to him, how many times can you ask these people to give them more chances? I said, they're going to graduate and they're going to have to be in the world. So then we moved away, and flash forward 7 years later, I stood at the wake for Russell, and these boys who I was carrying on about had become men. And they walked in one by one in suits, and they were police officers, and they had become businessmen, and they had become teachers, ESL teachers, and they all stood there one by one, paid their respects, and left. And I thought, he was right that whole time. You know, some people just at the right time of their life just need that little bit of push. And here we have these men in society who are carrying forth that legacy. So I'm so happy and I'm so thankful to come here, to be able to come back, because I couldn't really tell you that story 4 years ago. So I thank you for this chance.
Before we go any further, I do want to present this bouquet, and I'll come down to you, Lynn, but this is just one more token tonight from all of us for you and Ava. Just so everybody understands, tonight the inductees are receiving a crystal award with tonight's good wishes. But we're also still in discussions of where we are going to permanently display a plaque for each of our 2 inductees and then all of our subsequent inductees to follow. And hopefully it'll be at a place that everybody at the college can appreciate and again remember the wonderful people that we're inducting. I would like to bring up our Sports Information Director, Mark Mentone, for some closing remarks.